Good afternoon, Muskegon. You know what time it is. It's time for Turning to Your Show for news, information, and more. This October 20th, 2023. Hi, I'm your host, Gregory T. Roberts, back from Nevada. And what a trip. Um, do us a favor. First of all, if you're driving and you would like to see this show again, I know I repeat this, but it's so important that you get a chance to hear this information. You can watch the show repeatedly on WVS 103.7 The Beat or M106 Facebook sites, and they're there. If you would like to get involved in today's conversation, which is a well-needed one, you can also get on them live and go on those websites, the Facebook sites again, WVS 103.7 The Beat or M106. I want to say a couple things real quick. The traffic people, the stewardess, and security, you only hear about plane crashes or these or incidents when things happen wrong, but they do their job every day. And I want to say major kudos because you guys deal with a lot. So thank you very much. Number two, Muskegon. We may have our problems, but guess what? So does everybody. Don't miss this point. We are blessed with water and a very beautiful state. And other states, ask them about water right now. So where you're at, appreciate this city, town, and state. Appreciate this state because you don't know what you're missing out. And with that said, I'm going to bring in the co-host, Pastor Melvin Burns. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, brother. What a wonderful intro to talk about being appreciative of what we have and where we live. Not traveling will do that to you, won't it?
Oh, it will do that, man, because you get there and it's beautiful and stuff.
Yes.
But I can't even tell you what happened on the plane. One person fainted, two people got sick, and these tourists they dealt with it with such professionalism. But you know what? As beautiful as it was, and it was nice seeing family. I'm happy to be home.
Good.
But it's funny that we don't appreciate what we have.
Yes.
And until somebody else tells us, you know what, you guys don't appreciate what you have in Michigan or your home city.
Yeah.
Pastor Burns, I need you to tell us the weather and then tell us about what's going on in the Heights real quick.
Okay. Well, you talk about appreciate. You can appreciate just a typical October fall. Today, little drizzle taking place. It's supposed to end. It was supposed to end earlier, but I should be wrapping up. High will only be 53 for today. Tomorrow, a little drizzle in the evening, low 43, less than a tenth of an inch of rain, high 53. Sunday, low 42, high 54. The sun should peek out from the clouds a little bit tomorrow. And then things will clear up Monday as you head back to work. A cloudy day still, but a high of 55. So good sweater vest, cap weather as you're out and about this weekend.
Football weather.
I understand it's the last week of the season. Those senior bands, senior players get out there. The families walk out on the field tonight. It gives me goosebumps. But enjoy this, for some people, last game of the season. For others, they'll be rolling into the playoffs next week.
Yeah, do us a favor as well. Do what I'm doing right now. Share this message on your Facebook site right now. Because what we're going to talk about, I need to talk about a couple other things.
Yeah. Let me talk about the Heights, and we'll switch over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Today at 4:00, if you have not seen, we're going to be dedicating a sculpture in Rowan Park, right in downtown Muskegon Heights at Broadway and Baker. Let me tell you, the title of the sculpture is called Banding Together, and it's a sculpture of a drum major. And the theme has to do with how the band in Muskegon Heights has always drawn the entire community together.
Nice.
Let me tell you, when I say it's a sculpture, y'all not ready for this. 3 foot high, granite base, 12-foot high colored bronze sculpture. It's beautiful. They have it up now. So if you can be there at 4:00 for the dedication, fine. If you cannot, let me tell you, drive down Broadway and take a look And I assure you, in about 18 months, your drive down Broadway is going to be a lot smoother. Well, we'll
Nah,
talk about that later.
yeah, but it'll be a lot smoother. Hey, congratulations on that. That sounds wonderful.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
yes, for you people that keeping track, 47 pounds. You know what's a good thing? Hey, what's a good thing when you can go on vacation and lose 2 pounds?
Oh, so you
That's
enjoy yourself, but stick with the program.
stick with the program. I looked real funny because the exercise room was closed, and I was exercising in the hallway.
For real,
So
brother, I'm proud of you, man. That's that's some work. That's some work. I'm proud of you, man.
yeah, okay, let's go to Mike Anthony Smith from Houston, Texas. And by the way, people, we have people all over the world that watch the show.
Yes. Oh,
Uh,
hey, Mr. Smith, you said you'll be there next Friday. Make sure you drive downtown and take a look at it. It'll bring back those memories, of the marching bands out there on Phillips Field on Friday nights. But I guarantee you'll love it. Stop by if you're in town next week. Stop by and say hello too.
all right. Uh, we have a forum with all the people that are running for office for Muskegon and Muskegon Heights. It's open to the public. You can meet the candidates. Um, get involved, engaged. Hosted by the Deltas. And 103 WVS 103.7 The Beat. It's Thursday, October 26th, 2023, 7 to 9 p.m. at Corinthians Baptist Church, 2027 Peck Street. So you get a chance to meet the candidates in Muskegon and Muskegon Heights and meet them in a forum setting. Okay. With that said, 4 months ago, there was a life-changing thing that happened. Another life-changing thing that happened that my grandson, I had a chance to hold my grandson, and I stepped on the scale that same day, and I was the most I had ever weighed in my entire life. And I said, if I'm going to change things, if I'm going to see his life, I have got to do something because this is unacceptable.
That's good.
And so, you know what? I said, it's, too often we're willing to take the insulin, but we're not willing to take a lap.
Okay.
We're willing to take the pills for any disease, but we're not willing to walk around the block.
Okay.
We're willing to accept all the things that they say, but we not willing to get ourselves together. Put in the work. If you put in the work, you can get off those medicines, and your blood work will look better. And that's what's happening to me. And so when I was coming off the plane yesterday, I got a phone call from a brother of ours that said, we have to talk about some stuff. And I said, I'll talk to you when I get a chance. And absolutely he hit the head on the nail. We have to talk about the state of mental health. And we bring issues to you because it's needed. You want to talk about the state of mental health? Put your hands together for pastor, minister, school administrator, plumber, and all kinds of titles. Louis Churchwell, LLPC. How you doing?
Man, I am blessed, and truly grateful to be in the presence of you gentlemen. Both you gentlemen go back real far with me.
Yeah.
I knew you guys, I knew your families. And it's a part of the problems that we're having today is that we don't have them kind of family relationships and the way those families are structured. We don't have them today. But you guys go way back, and I appreciate it. In fact, I like to take the time to give a shout out to all of the brothers that have stood up and particularly this past decade, real hard and before and fought for change to make a difference. Judge Gregory Pittman, he came along at a time when, the entire justice system was just about white.
Yeah.
And he put a lot of pride into our cities with having a homegrown
Yes.
to step up and be a judge, to show that the water doesn't make us dumb in Muskegon Heights. He's very capable. Our very own Pastor Melvin Burns, in my opinion, was arguably the best city manager that Heights had. And arguably say if he was there today, we'd be in a whole lot different situation in terms of the conditions and the different things that we had going on. Our very own PA, who set out to trailblaze and do the things that he done to bring these opportunities to us in this community. Then they have brothers like Brother Greg, who picked up the political wheel and kept us informed and helped a whole bunch of us, who were confused and undecided, not by persuading them, but by informing them to make the choices that have pushed us just a little bit closer to where we need to be while we're going. I was out and I talked to a young lady that did my heart good, a young lady by the name of Jeanette Burt Moore. And she talked to me about, the things that she wanted to see happen with the Black mental health and the problems that we're having with our kids and those type of things. And that, that's something that hit me, and it set on me, because I don't think we are aware of what the real conditions of the mental health issues, with our African Americans. And that's from students to parents and so forth. And to talk about it in a way that's not going to be real medical, but when it comes to head, it's going to be all about medical and how to address the mental health issues that we're seeing happening in our communities.
Yes.
So
let's break it down, because the thing is that what people don't understand, that there is a mental health crisis. And as I was telling you when we were before the show, when I'm working out, I don't see a lot of people looking like me. I just don't. But we have access to those things to get ourselves together. So let's break it down, and how people. Well, let's start where you feel we should start, Mr. Churchwell.
Okay, and I think the first place that we'll start is here. Not everyone in the African American community is mentally ill to the point where they need medication. They need to go see a psychiatrist. They need to go to Health West, or they need to go to places. There's reasons that people become mentally oppressed. And that's the word I like to use. We're more mentally oppressed than we're mentally ill. You see, when people are mentally ill, some people are born with the lack of the mental institutions that are needed in their brain, the lack of, endorphins, the lack of the chemicals that make us think right. Those people can be looked at as mentally ill. But the vast majority of our people are born with all of their faculties intact. Let's look at the main causal factors of this mental illness thing that we talk about. Because if we're going to cure the mental illness, we got to go back and deal with the culprits that are causing this. And for years, the oppositions that want us to stay sick and mentally ill, they promote this mental illness to cover what the real issues are.
Right.
Because they don't want us to see what's really the problem. You see, mental illness starts when you get a person or a family is put in a situation to where all of a sudden stress and pressure is mounting. And it mounts to the point to where it overloads their faculties and they start acting strange. All of a sudden, this man who has got a house and trying to take care of his family, he loses the home. Pressure starts mounting and building. The bank won't let him have a loan. And it ain't so much because he don't have a FICO score, but a whole lot of it is that he don't look like them.
Okay.
So now he comes back, he feels inadequate as a man because he can't do the things he need to do to keep his family safe. And sometimes what this man will do before he see his family go bankrupt is he may put a gun in his hand and try to get the necessary means the wrong way. Well, putting that gun in his hand, automatically the criminal justice system labels him as an antisocial personality character disorder.
Okay.
When he wasn't. He was a man trying to keep his home and take care of his family. In the meantime, the wife is feeling that same duress and pressure. And don't think the kids don't see it and feel it as well. So we have a lot of other things that are going on that make us appear to be mentally ill. The kid is so upset because what the parents are going through. He go to school, he starts fighting. He's fighting at school and he's doing different things. And the people at school not only label him as a troublemaker, but they say he has a chemical imbalance, something is wrong with him. He needs to see the school psychiatrist. The school psychiatrist, without giving it a second thought a lot of times, will recommend that he go on some kind of medication. Back in the day, we used to call it Be Cool pills. This kid now has been labeled in the system that way. But because of the problem that started with that family, this entire family starts to fall apart. The mom and the dad eventually leave and they separate. And it wasn't because they didn't love each other. It's because the word that I'm going to bring up, which is the main culprit of a lot of our problems, it's because poverty reared its ugly head in the midst of a family that lived in a community, in a county that didn't give a care about a man keeping his home.
Well, let's do it this way, because we know there's nothing new under the sun, and a lot of these triggers are from things that we've seen or experienced in the past that weren't dealt with back then. So now that person comes to a modern day and model what he saw his father, or grandfather, or mother, or grandmother, or great grandmother had the model, but yet we come to the day and all of a sudden, like you said, goes to bank, loses home, don't know what to do. Mothers that it's so deep. I mean, I think you got to break it down even more, because this thing I deal with it every day and every Friday. But talk a little bit more about even the triggers before that.
Okay. Well, when a family is facing hardship, and in the back of their minds, many of them can't fathom the fact that if this fall apart, I'm going to be homeless.
Mm.
But when the end outcome that families are looking at is homelessness, then you deal with a whole nother set of fears, inadequacies that mentally consume a person. Now, you take a person in this mental state of mind, they can't cope. They feel like they're losing their mind. They feel like they're going crazy. And when they go and see somebody, that professional says, you need to go to a doctor. And when they go to a doctor and they tell a doctor, because doctors work with symptoms, that they feel like they're losing their mind, they feel like they can't cope. Now, this doctor gives them a diagnosis, and this diagnosis is dealing with being mentally ill. Now, this person feels like they're mentally ill because this doctor told me that. But let's back up real quick. When this person starts feeling that way, if they look at the real factors, some things that happen to us, and I want us to hear this and understand this. There's things that happen to us that's supposed to make us depressed and sad.
Mm.
If you losing your home don't make you depressed and sad, yeah, then you're crazy.
Okay.
Now, you got this person losing their home and becoming homeless. They're supposed to act distraught and like they ain't got no control. So we need to have people to deal with these people who understand what is really going on, instead of saying, hey, we ain't gonna talk to you on a mental scale. Let's talk to you and see what happened to you in your house. You need to find another place to live. And if we deal with the issue that really caused her to feel like she's losing everything, then it wouldn't be about being on medication for mental illness or anything. It'll be about helping her put her life in order the right way. Now, because she feels like she's crazy and she's acting that way, she don't have a place to live. Many times she'll push the kid off on a family or a friend.
Grandma,
great grandma, and she's trying to survive. But now listen what happens to this kid. The picture of this kid now is he don't feel like a normal kid because he feel like his parents didn't like him and they threw him away. And him trying to process these things can very easily cause what in psychological terms, an adjustment disorder. And he may not adjust at the level of somebody that's sitting in school who's going to get out of school and go home to a parent that has dinner or something waiting. He's going to go home, and maybe his grandmother loves him, but it's not mom and dad. Go ahead, Greg.
See, here's the problem. The problem is that this is not one of those sexy issues that are titles that people want to talk about. These are one of those peekaboo issues that people just, is none of your business, but it is. I want to get you in, Pastor Burns, with your question.
You say something that intrigued me, Brother Churchwell. You talk about losing your job or losing your house, car get repossessed, major injury. you know, you say these things happen and we should feel sad or disappointed and let down. And so it's like you're saying something emotionally happens and we're not getting, if I break my leg, I go and the doctor resets my leg because that's what happens when you break a leg. But for these life events, we're not getting the right treatment and diagnosis for how to handle these events. Am I on target here? Okay.
Exactly. You're right. You're right on target with this here. So the thing that becomes fashionable for many of these organizations is to set up shop because it's going to give us a huge amount of money.
Okay.
There's a lot of money coming in, and you got a kid that really ain't nothing wrong with him, but he's maladjusted and he need someone to straighten him out. But when you can put these fancy diagnoses on them and keep them coming down to treatment, that keeps the money flowing. But what about getting to the issues that created this? Everybody does not have a chemical imbalance. And the chemical imbalance is what really defines being mentally ill. Right now, as a therapist, I deal with people that come in that are tore up from the floor. They think they're crazy and they're losing their mind. Once we get into session and we go back to where this started from, then we can start dealing with those issues and they start realizing that they're not crazy. Sometimes they made mistakes that caused them this. And a lot of that comes into acceptance and learning how to get up and move on. Very rarely do I get a person that's so mentally ill until they need to be locked up or they need to be on medication. If that be the case, a lot of these parents who they think are mentally ill and messed up with these kids, they wouldn't know how to find a place that they're supposed to come to.
Mr. Churchwell, I want to ask you this question. Why is it that you feel, and why we know that we as people will not seek treatment or seek help?
I think there's a lot in that question. I know one of the things, those of us who people look at as being crazy, and we know we're not going to seek treatment because we don't want to go into a place where they're going to just treat me like I'm a lunatic. They ain't going to treat me like I'm a person. They ain't going to treat me the same. So, no, I don't want to go in there and deal with that. I know what they're going to say. And a lot of people know what their issues are. And as professionals, we should be going where the client is, not what we think, but we should be going where the client is, not what somebody has wrote on paper about this person. When I get things sent to me about how a person is, I don't pay much attention to that at all. I need to meet this person. And when I meet this person, a large majority of the time, they're nothing like what was sent over to me. Because we're meeting at the same level.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that one big help would be for us to find a way to get more of us involved in this field. But it's hard to do. Places like Health West, you can't find a Black clinician in there. I worked at Health West for years. They wouldn't let me be a clinician. And I had 2 master's degrees in the subject. We don't have a lot of Black people in these places that can sit down and deal with our blackness the same way. You can get other races to come in and deal with the same thing. They're treated differently. It's already exaggerated. When somebody black comes in that's angry, they're ready to call the police. It's a fear. And until we deal with these issues, we're going to continue to have issues with the way our folks are treated going into mental health. Am I saying mental health is not the place to go? No. Mental health is an excellent place to go. But we as adults going in need to know and understand the questions that we need to be asking instead of laying back and letting them tell us what the issue is.
That
They
brings,
have to go.
that's good. You bring up something that I wanted to address. Let's go to the board, Rhonda Aubrey. Keep it real. Yeah, you're talking real deep here, and how I want to position this question correctly. We have the access to the dollars to get help, but we won't get help. Is that a true statement? And let me add this one too. Hurt people hurt others. So I'm gonna go 2 levels at you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's another loaded question. You see, one of the things that, especially with African Americans, that is viewed as a serious mental illness is when African Americans are angry. Oh man, they're afraid of that because if they're angry, there's something wrong. I've been in places to where a certain African American male was coming in, and they called 2 more therapists to be on hand when he got there, and I shook my head. This happened at Health West. We're gonna bring some more help in there so when he get there. And so when you come in and you see you got these people ready for you, yeah, that's gonna piss you off because you're already on the edge. We need people to understand the communication gaps with us. And when you got the resources out there for us to get help, we need to use those resources, but we need to have people in place that we trust. See, one of the main problems is they keep talking about we got these resources for the African American community to get help. Man, these black folks don't trust them. They don't trust them hardly no far you can see them. They don't want to be there. Because the word is already out. Only thing they're going to do to you is this and this and this and try to get you. They don't want that. Because some of the real issues that we're not serious about treating in the black community, I'll go back to it. Start treating the issue of poverty. Instead of putting all that money in that, how about putting the money in this house that ain't got a roof and they got to put buckets up under there every time it rains? You don't think that'll take away a lot of stress and pressure and alleviate the mental illness that they're struggling with? These young people who have been displaced and homeless, how about getting somebody that can really understand where they're coming from, who's not afraid of them, and get them back working? Some things that were old school that worked, why not bring them back? The summer youth jobs. That these kids used to get a chance to have and work. Some of them get hooked the first time they see their name on a check with money. Then they understand what it is to work and get money.
Mm-hmm.
and they ain't running from the police.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got work to do
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of angry youth out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And many of these angry youth don't have no warrant or nothing to go back to and feel that they're really loved and wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of the problems that are going on with the people that's supposed to love and care for them.
Wow, we're at the bottom of the hour already at 2:37. Already, you are watching or listening to Torn in Two with Pastor Melvin Burns and I guess Louis Churchwell, and we're talking about the issues of the lack of help for African Americans. Question going to you, Pastor Burns.
From Rhonda Aubrey, one of the major issues is if there is a problem or resource placed in the Black community, such as effective Black parenting, been there a way or change the content that removes the Black culture?
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
Well, Sister Rhonda, she's hitting on the hell and hitting the nail on the head, and she's throwing a lot of heavy stuff out there that should be out there. And those things with effective Black parenting,
Mm-hmm.
those are things that we should have placed and put back into the community.
Mm-hmm.
We should have things like that in place for parents to go through. And then we should have people in place to just talk to the parents and explain to them that this is not something that's invasive, but this is something that's going to help.
There you go.
You know, and that's what one of the major problems is. You approach these parents and they're suspicious. Why not go to these parents, and alleviate the suspicious mind and help them to understand this is not an invasive practice.
Yeah.
This is something that we're concerned about helping you help your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because these young folks have seen enough of how their parents are struggling and the older ones. And they're not waiting to get to that point of struggle. So they're taking matters into their own hand.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see a future.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get them back into the youth job program, the summer job programs? Does a couple of things. It keeps them busy all summer long, and then they're making money and they're buying their own stuff.
Yeah.
Things that could really help us, they took it away. I'm talking about mental illness, and people don't really understand that this is what causes it. We need to talk about where mental illness comes from. Not that we got people in the community that are sick and mentally ill. We all at different points in time deal with mental illness.
Right.
But it's how you attack it and combat it that makes the difference.
And I think you need to say what you just said again, because we need to pass the plate on that one, because at some point in time, pressure bust pipes and you go through stress, but it's how you deal with it is the issue. Or do you even know how to deal with the issue that you're going through?
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. Pressure do bust pipe. That's a good analogy though, man. And there's a whole bunch of us in the Black community that's dealing with their pressure, man. And we just a few nodules of pressure away, from it busting through.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, from our communities and the kids we're dealing with, it's got to come all the way through to the school systems.
Mm-hmm.
And in Muskegon County, no school districts, other than Hikes that I knew of, was doing a good job at recruiting African American teachers who knew how to deal with these African American children. And right now, these school districts still have a problem. The school district that I'm the vice president of, we do a terrible job of recruiting Black and African American teachers. Mona Shores, Oak Ridge, Reese Puffer. But what they will do is they'll try to recruit the best coach or athletic director they can.
Hello.
They can recruit and steal these talented African American kids to their school. And as soon as the sports season is over with, they wipe their hands of them.
Mm.
These are issues that we got to stand up to. But now I'm pleading to the younger African Americans who are coming up and those who are older who have an idea of this to come together, not without fear, and start facing these vices. We got to demand we get Black teachers in here. We got to demand that we get this sort of equality within our schools. That's not happening.
As well as counselors and others. Let's go to the board. And the next question is going to you, Pastor Burns.
Okay, from Rhonda Aubrey also, she says, please touch on how SUD plays into mental health.
Substance abuse?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Again, substance abuse is an illness, and one of the things that substance abuse is known to be is it's something that's passed down, generationally. So it's a position called predisposition, and predisposition means that if you got a parent or someone who was addicted, you can get addicted easier.
Mm-hmm.
But again, when we go back to mental illness, some people become addicted to substances for a certain reason.
Mm-hmm.
If we can find a reason that they started this, we can start there.
Mm-hmm.
It may not take away the addiction, but now we know the causal factor. Again, it takes somebody who understands the language and communication to go back there with a person to find these issues out. And when they get that problem, they're sent to mental health agencies. And first of all, mental health agencies do very little for the treatment of addiction or alcoholism. Sometimes that take interventions that they're just not willing to do. And because of saving dollars and the reward in saving dollars, a lot of agencies get a pile of money from the government. I want you to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
And that money is for people who need to be sent to treatment and different things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them is rewarded by, the money that they didn't use sending the person to treatment. They get to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What kind of incentive is that
Mm-hmm.
to send somebody to the hospital to get help? You see, addiction is not all about, staying in the neighborhood where you get this stuff from. Because once you find out the person's problems and you tell them this is the issue, now you got to be strong. And you putting them back in the same situation. That's like taking a person with diarrhea and setting them down and saying, you can't use the bathroom no more. Sometimes the logic comes in is that a person just needs to get away from the environment that's creating the need for them to use until they get a foothold strong enough to go back home and have a fighting chance of standing up and dealing with this.
Wow.
That's what it's about. It ain't about you going into the treatment center because that's going to make you better. But see, the scientists have got together and they found out, well, alcoholism will stay in your system a certain amount of time. After that, you're gonna be okay. You can live. Cocaine, after 72 hours, it's gone out of your system. Now you can live without treatment. You just gotta be strong. That's what they're doing to us. So you just gotta be strong. So you go into treatment and they detox you for heroin for maybe 72 hours, a little under a week. And then they let you go and say, you just got to be strong. But
don't
you're going back to the same neighborhood.
Just say no.
just
say no. Pastor Burns, question to you.
Yeah, I'm fascinated you make this connection between poverty and some of the issues that we're calling mental health issues and how they manifest and magnify themselves in our community. But so what do we say to people who are listening and they're saying, what do I do, Brother Churchwell? I feel myself slipping. What do I do?
When you get a person that, if I'm hearing you right, they come to you and they say, hey, I feel like I'm losing it.
Yeah.
I got all these things going on. Well, the thing is that, if they're coming to me and I'm in counseling, I want to find out what's going on and what they feel like is causing them to lose it. And then I want to look at the resources that I can connect them to that's really going to help address these issues. Don't want to put a Band-Aid on it, but really, really want to deal with it. Some issues create more of a challenge than others, but they're all issues that we can deal with, through counseling that doesn't have to label them as being mentally ill. See, once you've been diagnosed and labeled as mentally ill, did you know that diagnosis follow you the rest of your life? You going somewhere to get a job and they pull up that and look at you and they see on there that, man, somebody got you diagnosed, man, as a bipolar disorder, manic depression.
Yeah, you have that scarlet letter on your chest.
Yeah,
but for something, and I just can't reiterate that at some point in time you deal with it. Now, I'm gonna give you an example. What I did, Mr. Churchwell, is like when a guy proposed to my daughter. I said, "Okay, you get my permission when you go through counseling, marriage counseling, when you go through learning how to deal with finance, when you learn how to deal with this." Some people think counseling is when you have the problem. No, counseling is to stop you from getting to the problem. True or not true?
That's right. That's true. That's true all the time. Every marital couple that's come to me for counseling, I've made that statement to them.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I said, well, you know what? The problem is here is that we got to go back and do some premarital counseling to a situation where you guys have already passed that, and you should have got premarital counseling.
Yes.
If you'd had premarital counseling, we could have prevented and caught a lot of this.
Yes.
But yes, counseling is to present that. Even biblical, they want the young folks to, go to wise counsel, to receive advice and to get these things. And now with the media in play has blown a picture so large that it's deaf to go into the black neighborhood. There's a lot of people, it's a lot of white people think if they go down there, man, in the black neighborhood, man, they're gonna die. Well, but you know what? This is the problem. There's a lot of black people that think that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is with media. And when black people make it, they forget about it. Never forget where you come from. We don't never want to forget the struggles and what Harriet Tubman and what she had to go through, and they had to go through, and the things they had to do. We don't want to forget that struggle. We need to make sure our young Black students know that struggle. Why they don't want to teach it in schools? Because they don't want them to understand who they are.
Say it again. Say it proud, brother.
Yeah.
And so they don't want it in the schools. But I'll tell you this. In order to get to where you want to go, you must know where you are.
There you go.
In order to know where you are, you must know where you came from. Controlling your future lies in conquering your past.
Mm.
Now you bring up something very interesting because with media, social media, the media have the stigma that they're putting on is trying to eliminate the very things that you're talking about the triumphs or where we came from and how we were able to get through. But we don't want to teach that now because it's no need, because they bring up the issue that there's no thing called racism. It's we're over that. How much does that have to play into what's going on in society right now?
Well, that plays a lot what goes on into society, because they push that issue out in the front and they keep other issues out in the back. So if it's not about racism, then it's about something wrong with the person that's done whatever they done or they're involved. But everyone wants to push that issue that it isn't racism. But right now, racism is more rampant than it was, back in the day when we had Dr. Martin Luther King marching to set us free. The social media has gotten involved and added to it. And now people have taken away the sheets over their face and they replaced them with suits and ties. Woo! There's doctors who are racist that enjoy themselves every day because under the guise of a suit and tie and being a doctor, they can misdiagnose you and kill the very thing that they hate. Mm. We have to get more of us to stand up and educate ourselves and stand against these type of vices. We need more of us who have the knowledge and who have the courage to get into the political arena and fight like hell to get there so we can change how things happen. We need to fight to get those quorums. When they let one or two of us in there, that's not good enough because they defeat us when it comes to the vote. And everything that I do right now at the school board that I believe in, whole lot of times it's just I'm voted out. And so people will look and it gives an image that Black people in office, they don't care because this is still happening. No, one Black person in the office ain't gonna make a difference. You got to have enough of them there to make a quorum. Mm-hmm. If that quorum is 4, you got to have enough to count the 4. If it's 3, you got to have enough to count the 3. So we have to get up. Some of these young people that are coming from college that come back that are just getting involved, and people know, get yourself in position to run for office. Then we can control things. Those that control those offices control things. Mm-hmm. We got a very good chairman of the county commission in Charles Nash. But if we don't support him and get around him, they're still going to eat him alive.
Oh, we talked about that last week, that the fact that we don't get involved, we don't go to meetings and stuff like that. Pastor Burns, I know I can see you got a question.
Man, we could go so many places with this, but I'm gonna go back to this what you're saying is in this whole idea of mental health, in our community is not just sitting down with a counselor, but a whole picture of how we see a community. You know, it seems to be saying the whole community helps sustain our mental health.
Yes.
You know, for example, you talked about, you know, we hired the black coach, but part of what kept you attracted with student wasn't just the black coach, it was the counselor and the math teacher and the social studies teacher and the advisor to the senior class and all those other people that were part of making sure you were okay.
That's right.
You know, seeing you through those times. So I like you. You know, I'm hearing you say, no, this ain't just to go see a doctor, but it's an issue we as a community got to make sure we're understanding for us to be healthy.
That's right. That's right. And you know, in saying with that, you know, Brother Melvin, if there was a lot of concern about us as a people, every school district in this region, in this area, would wrap their arms around Muskegon Heights and push for it to be like it was.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of them that are hoping and waiting for the back to break on them so they can fall, and then the control they has gets tighter.
Wow.
Folks, we need Muskegon Heights. And we need it to be vibrant, and we need it to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to your legislators. Go to the MAISD. Talk to the MAISD. Because this is where mental illness runs rampant in the African American community. Because everything around in the African American community is in a position of disarray. And we don't know whether or not it's going to stand this pressure. You don't know if your school is going to close while you're sitting in the chair. That's pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go and talk to somebody and tell them what you're feeling, they say you're mentally ill. No, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
There's counselors like the work I do. I talk to people every day. And anybody, you know, I'm currently working at West Michigan Psychological Services. I'm working with Cedric Scott to put together another program that's going to address these issues with us. Cedric Scott and myself, we're working on something. I want y'all to know that, and that's coming.
Okay.
But currently, I'm at West Michigan Psychological Services. That's located at 3611 Henry Street, on the corner of Henry Street and Seminole Road. I deal with a lot of people that come in, and they're at their wits' end. But by the time they leave, I haven't diagnosed them with a mental illness.
Okay.
And we understand what's going on, and they get treatment.
Okay.
With a valid treatment plan.
Okay.
With that said, hey, time has flown. Mr. Churchwell, can we have you back? Because it's an issue that's way too important that we got to understand that people have to go out and get this mental health. Can we have you back?
Yes, sir. I made it. I made it my mission. The closer I get on the downside of my career is I don't have a fear of none of this. The individuals, the repercussions, the lawmakers. I know how petty many of them are, and I know just how racist a whole bunch of them is in Muskegon County. Sitting on these boards and these commissions, and they're just as racist as all get out. So, yeah, I'll come back.
All right.
And we'll do what we got to do until we can stimulate our people and our community to stand up and fight back. But if anybody needs that kind of help, you think you got a problem with this place, if you got Medicaid or you got something, come see me. My phone number is 231-769-8638.
That's Mr. Churchwell. We're talking about mental health. Listen, it's one of those issues that people like to hide behind, but really need help. Okay, so that's it for 22 for this week. Go sow a seed in somebody's life. You never know who you're going to touch. God bless you guys. God bless you, Muskegon. We'll see you next week.
All right.